But first, our next guest had a #1 hit in America. She was voted Best New Female Artist of 1991. Her debut album sold over 2 million copies, and the most amazing fact of all is that she was just a simple girl from Norwich. Please welcome the fabulous Cathy Dennis. Have a seat.
I'm not quite sure about my simple girl from Norwich.
I know, I wasn't sure about that either. Listen, so we thought we'd tempt you because we know you have a weakness. How would you describe yourself?
Neurotic.
Oh, gosh. Not already, surely. No, would you really? Would you say you were neurotic?
Oh, yeah, I think I'd probably say I'm quite the opposite from simple. I'd love to be simple.
No,
but...
I think simple always, it doesn't mean what people think. I think simple means uncluttered.
You meant down to earth, didn't you?
Yes, but simple is, like you don't have a complicated life, and you breeze through life, and I don't feel that I do.
Coming to you from the mountain fortress of pop culture. You're listening to Time to Talk.
It's a little strange, it's a little bizarre, it's slightly off the wall, but it just might work.
What is it, Dorothy?
I'm coming to you from the sick bay of the fortress this morning. Yesterday, I had COVID jab #2, and I can tell you it has been a bloody rough night. I haven't been that hot, sweaty and sick since Peter Andre landed a surprise gig on me in Sydney. Unlike that experience, however, I am very confident that I will get through this one completely unscathed. Jab #2 was for the greater good. The scientists, however, are still not sure what the long-term effects of my Peter Andre experience might be. So Lee and Andrew, who are with me this morning, tonight, UK time, are you going to look after me in the fortress today?
Oh, I can't believe you're poorly. I can't believe you went to a Peter Andre concert. That's the more worrying thing.
I know this is going to sound a little bit like Johnny Depp doing a Wild Turkey commercial, but I still encourage people to go and get the vaccine. Get it. It's good for you.
It is. No pain, no gain. That's what they say.
Can't lift my arm. I honestly, that night was just terrible. Just before I went to bed, it started to dawn, and I thought, this doesn't feel very good. And then I woke up, and it's been shocking. So, but here's the thing, Andrew, who's new to our show. This is how loyal I am to the pop divas and the pop kings of the world. Cathy Dennis, you're here to tell us all about Cathy Dennis today.
I will look after you if you look after me.
This is your first time in the fortress, isn't it?
It is.
You poor thing. Lee, should he be nervous? I'm not sure.
No. I know he said he's nervous, but it's fine as long as he stays away from what's the dragon called? Is it Igor or something
Igor.
like that?
Yeah, that's
Igor.
right.
Yeah, he'll be
Actually,
fine.
should we introduce them just in case? Because Igor, has a bit of a streak, I have to say, depending on who visits the fortress. Andrew, just put your hand out very gently. Just tell me when. Oh, yeah, that's the way. Igor, this is Andrew. Andrew, this is Igor. Very good. Andrew, he likes you.
Lovely, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. I'd still only stay on his left side, though, okay? So when you get very animated about Cathy Dennis today, just don't accidentally move to his right. Sudden movements on that side, hasn't ended well for others.
Okay, thanks for the warning.
Andrew, why Cathy Dennis? Because she's not out there in the public domain so much. She's sort of a little bit behind the scenes, isn't she? Who is she?
She is, yes. Gosh, that's a really good question, actually. For me, it's probably going to be a couple of years out of date, but 5 decades of Dennis, because she's now 52 years old. I think from my perspective, she is a prolific and amazing singer, songwriter, producer. I don't know if many people know that she actually produces a lot of the songs that she writes as well. So she's tinkled with quite a few things, and she's also got into and dabbled a little bit in acting as well, which probably isn't her forte. She's given it a try, but she's obviously more prolific and more, I guess, focused on her songwriting skills and music. So yeah, so from my perspective, my absolute 100% top female singer of all time. And I know I've still got a lot of years left in me at the moment. I'm 44. I don't feel young, but I started out loving Cathy Dennis when I was 12 years old.
Let's go back to 1989. I've got to say, I don't know about you, Lee, but back in the day, Cathy Dennis was quite a mythical creature because her video clips were all green and neon, and she had a very unique look. And she used to pop up as I was waiting with my record finger poised over the record button, waiting for Kylie's songs to come on the video clip shows back in the day. And she just used to bother me. I think, come on, whoever you are, move on, move on, move on. But then she started to get quite seriously competition for Kylie. She was actually big at one stage. She had those songs that I know, which was, I don't know, Make Me Love You, Kiss and Touch You, Touch Me All Night Long, whatever that one is. And
yeah, nearly.
Nearly?
Nearly.
Did I put a crude slant on that, did I? Maybe. I
No, that's fine.
But yeah, so Lee, this lady's British. Is that where it starts? And was she started off writing, or did she start off singing? Where did she emerge from? What cave?
You see, I don't know that. I know she's British, and I know she was probably one of the very few British pop stars to make it sort of relatively big in America. And she kind of, I think, like it's already been said, she started off with the featuring on D-Mob, and then
and who's D-Mob? That means nothing
D-Mob,
to me.
well, they were like a dance collective. That's right, isn't it? There was a house producer called Dancing Danny D, and they used to do a lot of remixes for people, but then did their own a couple. They weren't massively,
but very much that house and club stuff, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Of those 89 to 90, that's where we started to segue from the Absolute Sugar into that house, and that's, I suppose, where she came from. So, Andrew, you've been following her for the whole time, since the beginning?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. So not necessarily from a single perspective. You know, when singles get released, a lot of people will buy them rather than an album. I actually heard Come On and Get My Love when we used to go to the seaside with my parents, and I was like, wow, what is this song? It was just absolutely amazing. Female singer, really catchy vocals and really good melody. And I'm thinking, wow, this is something to listen out for in the future. But it wasn't until, I think, 2 years later, which subsequently after the release of Come On and Get My Love, Cathy was also on another D-Mob single called That's the Way of the World, which didn't do as well internationally. So it just missed out on the top 40 in the UK. I'm not sure how it did in America, but, you know, that doesn't matter. It subsequently came onto her debut album, Move to This, where things started to get big for her, but
really
primarily in the United States, absolutely, because it took quite a while for a lot of the things in the UK to kind of like tune into her.
She has a distinct voice, that's for sure. Yeah. Can I tell you, I usually would have done some research for this, but as I became ill, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to sit here without much knowledge, but I'm going to put out an assumption, and you can either extinguish it or confirm it. A lot of people who start off as pop stars and have a moderate degree of success and then go on to songwriting, there's some sort of element of anxiety or shy, or they just don't like the celebrity aspect of it. Is that true of Cathy, or how did she make that transition from like up there in the limelight, getting top 10 hits, to becoming this amazing writer?
I think, and I've not spoken to Cathy about that, but I have met her previously. It's a question I didn't ask, and unfortunately I missed a trick there. But I think Cathy wasn't happy with promotion. It probably took a lot out of her because she was obviously touring a lot of the states. She was doing the MTV club scene for quite a few weeks. I think that also linked in where she was supporting Milli Vanilli. And I don't know if you've seen an interview which was on the Rick D show back in the early 90s. Cathy confirmed they were actually sexually harassing her, and she quit within a few days. So she wasn't impressed with that, and she thought, right, no way, this is not happening. And she put her foot down and said, that's it, I'm not doing anymore.
Sorry, I have to make sure I've heard this correct. She's touring with Milli Vanilli. In fact, they're the main act and she's the secondary act. That's scary. And she is harassed by Milli Vanilli. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, that's right. So
tell me what that looked like. Did she go into detail? How were they flicking their hair at her or mocking her hair?
Well, we all know they never sang their songs anyway. It was the producers behind the scenes that sang their songs, so they didn't even do the vocals, and obviously that came out later. But Cathy's very, very good at keeping things minimalistic. She won't go into too much detail. She said, basically, all I can tell you is they tried to get her into bed with them, and it's like, no, that's not happening. So basically, she said, that is the end of them at once.
No, thank you.
Wow. So she didn't finish this tour. So, wow. So basically fame and celebrity sounds like it got under her skin to a degree at least. But then all of a sudden is she still making millions of dollars out of creating music, Andrew? Like what's the deal these days?
Yes, she's more focused on writing and producing for other artists. Some of them less well known.
Okay.
There's a huge single in the UK, and Lee, you'll probably know this. Will Young's "Anything Is Possible" that went triple platinum.
She wrote that.
She did. That's right. Also, "I Kissed a Girl" by Katy Perry. That was an international smash as well. Yeah, so she's written that.
And to just blow your socks away, she wrote "Toxic" by Britney Spears.
Oh, I actually knew that one because that was meant to go to Kylie and didn't. So, wow, she wrote "Toxic" and she wrote "I Kissed a Girl."
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
But I think one thing that I can call out more recently, you're obviously calling out "Toxic," which is absolutely a massive hit for Britney Spears. Cathy does do a lot of the vocals on a lot of these songs that she writes. So again, she does the la 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 bit in "Can't Get You Out of My Head" on the album version of "Come Into My World" that Kylie released as a single. Dance Floor as well from the Fever album, and subsequently other songs like Sensitized as well. So she actually wrote that, but also does a lot of the backing for those songs. Toxic 100% does a lot of the main vocal. A lot of Britney Spears fans do not like me publishing this on YouTube, for example. They always kick my backside, but I say that is definitely Cathy's vocal, and they say Britney's the lead vocal. Absolutely, Britney is the lead vocal, but it should be Britney Spears and Cathy Dennis, because she does a lot of the vocal on Toxic, Showdown, for example, which wasn't a Britney single, but is one of the songs on her album. I think it was In the Zone, if I remember rightly. So yeah, she does a lot of that.
Can I ask, did you say that she does the la la las in Can't Get You Out of My Head? She
does.
No.
Absolutely. You know that when you see Kylie on tour, and I've seen Kylie on tour quite a lot of times as well, Kylie's La 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 vocal is definitely different to the single and the album version of that song. It's definitely Cathy doing that bit.
Well, Kylie is a huge Cathy Dennis fan. I know that. There's also After Dark, which a lot of fans like to sweep under the carpet, but I love After Dark. Cathy Dennis wrote that for the Body Language album as well.
She did.
Rob Davis is the writing partner that she often teams up with too, right?
It is, that's correct.
Yeah.
So that's one of them at least anyway. So I know she's written with lots of different people, but Sarah Hudson is another one.
What, do you think it's fair that Cathy Dennis doesn't get as much credit as she should? I mean, she's written Can't Get You Out of My Head, I Kissed a Girl, Toxic, and all the others that Andrew just mentioned. And I mean, it just feels so sad that she doesn't get more recognition, which is probably why Andrew is so keen and enthusiastic to do this podcast.
I don't think she's that bothered about I would imagine a bank balance is pretty ka-ching, because I'm just looking through a list of her writing, and it's like Sugar Babes, S Club Kylie, even David Guetta's on there, Kelly Clarkson, Christina Aguilera, just like everybody. So I don't think she's that bothered. I think she's won Ivor Novello Award. She's won songwriting awards. I think it was her choice to kind of back away from being the performer and be the kind of. Her? Yeah, I'd love it. I mean, I think before COVID, from what I can remember, she was just starting to kind of get herself out there a little bit, and she was doing a couple of kind of like 90s, the kind of nostalgia tours in the summer. So she'd started to do those before COVID, and it might well be that she is planning on releasing something herself.
Hello.
G'day, how are you? Is that Ian?
This is Chad.
Oh, Chad.
It's Chad.
Hello. It's a familiar
Yeah.
voice. What's going on here? Looks like we're getting a Chad and we're getting an Ian. My goodness.
You're always going to get me if you mention Cathy Dennis.
Oh, wow. This is like a party now. Oh, hang on. We've got another entry. Here we go. This is like a horse race. I love it. And here comes Chad up the upside. And here comes Ian. He's almost in. I think he's in the green room right now. Now, Ian, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Gate crashed.
Gate crashed, bombed.
RJ.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yes.
Sorry, maybe you might want to edit that.
No, we
Gate
won't. edit it.
crashes if they're not invited, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, I don't know. Yeah, all right, let's go with orgy. We now have a Cathy Dennis orgy occurring here today, and I'm still suffering from my COVID jab, and this might just get me through it. It might just do the trick. I don't know if it's the Earl Grey or the prospect of an orgy with Cathy Dennis. I have no idea, but something is improving. Tell us why you love Cathy Dennis in 45 seconds or less.
I love her so much. So I just think that she's an unsung pop hero for some people, including me. And I love her music career. I feel like it should have been even bigger. And then she's such a behind the scenes like hit maker, and she's such a good songwriter. I think is really what it boils down to for me is for pop music. She just has whatever that is that makes you a great songwriter for pop music.
So why doesn't she get the recognition, Chad?
Well, it's a crime. I feel like she did have a music career, but she's only had just a small handful of chart hits herself under her own name. And then she really kind of moved behind the scenes and wrote for, famously Toxic for Britney Spears and for all these different things I'm sure we're going to get into. But so, she's really behind the scene. It's kind of like Sia is, although Sia is so much more famous, right, and popular and stuff like that. But she's kind of like a Sia before Sia, where she is that incredible songwriter, incredible behind-the-scenes personality. And I feel she's a very strong artist as well, and just never really had the artistic career that she really could have or should have.
The question I've got for you is Cathy Dennis behind the scenes because she wasn't strong enough as a performer and as an entertainer herself?
Absolutely not, no. I mean, if you ever watched her when she did her Oprah Winfrey performance in the US, you could see an artist that could handle herself absolutely 100%. And she's one of those artists that also that it's very difficult to know whether she's performing live or whether she's performing recorded, because she hits her vocals spot on. So no, I wouldn't have said that she's behind there. She's said quite openly that she doesn't like doing the promotion side of being an artist, and she's happier sitting in the background. And I think some of the other stuff that she releases, especially more recently, I'm trying to think of the name of the dance group. I know Andrew will be able to tell you instantly. Where that's the one, Galantics. Yeah, her vocals are on the album, but you wouldn't know that they're there because she doesn't put a name to them. So, I mean, you have to read the credits in the album to actually read it, but when you really hear that song, and that song was massive around the world, you know that when someone says that's Cathy on the vocals, you go, oh yeah, that's right, she's still here. So yeah.
So is she someone who writes great music or great lyrics or both?
I think she does all of it actually, because if you ever heard the demo version of Toxic, it doesn't particularly jump out of you to be that the massive single that Britney produced it as. And if you go back to listening to the song she wrote also for Danny Minogue, Love's on Every Corner.
Oh, so she was practicing on Danny before she wrote for Kylie, is that right?
Well, I don't know that she actually wrote for Kylie. The Can't Get It Out of My Head was just written and then offered to Kylie, and Kylie snapped it up. But
that's a technicality.
You can see how she's changed her songwriting. It's just got stronger and stronger. So I think that she's pretty much a good artist in herself, and she's also pretty good at writing songs.
All right, open slather. If you wanted to convince someone that Cathy Dennis was the goddess which you all purport her to be, which is the piece of work that you would point to?
For me, it would be her album Move to This, because I think that is not a well-known album like in pop or among pop fans, but it really should be. And it has some incredible songs on it. Of course, her songs Just Another Dream, Touch Me All Night Long, Come On and Get My Love, and Too Many Walls were all different, had different chart success, but I love those songs. I think they all stand the test of time, even now. And it's just, you never hear anyone mention that album. So I would say that album.
Why did all her video clips look the same?
I think it's probably most likely to be her record label in the UK, because I get the fact that in the US particularly that she was sort of briefly known and disappeared, but in the UK she was fairly well known. And you still see her music still played on the radio. I mean, I heard it on the BBC Radio too, one of her songs recently. So I guess it's different where you are in the world. But Move to This was quite a significant album. And again, without referencing too much, also Come On Get My Love, which is a song she did with D-Mob. Yeah. Both the song and the video for that, you can go in one direction. You can see that being copied by Danny Minogue again, doing her Love and Kisses video. And then the other direction, it's supposed to be the blueprint for Kylie's Better the Devil You Know. Although I can't hear it, but that's what Kylie's actually said, that she asked for a song that sounded similar to that.
When I think of Cathy Dennis, I think of this pale, beautiful woman with a great body and this hair, right? How does she look these days? Like, is she pretty much the same, or was that a look for the times?
It was definitely a look for the times, I'll be honest. She looks pretty much the same, except she's 30 years older from when she was on the scene in the 90s. I met her, and Lee spoke about it a little bit earlier in regards to these summer performances. So it was at Mighty Hoopla in London. So it's a well-known sort of like event that's put on at Brockwell Park. And I got myself and my partner, Will, a VIP ticket. I was going there purely for Cathy. Nobody else. There were lots of other artists, things like Liberty X, even Shaka Khan was there. I'm like, no, I'm purely there for Cathy. I enjoyed myself with the other artists, and let's just say I was a little bit tipsy.
So you were
I walked out, kind of, but in a nice way. I actually went to the fence and I spoke to a guy at the back who was a security guy, works for a company that deal with events. I said, I'm really sorry, can I ask you a question? He was really nice. And I said, I've just seen my favourite all-time singer perform on the stage. This is the first time I've ever seen her live. I don't want to miss talking to her. Would you mind letting me in so I can go have a chat? He said, yeah, feel free to come. And he didn't even pat me down to see if I had anything on me, I'll be honest. Luckily I didn't, but I walked straight over and I was like this. I recognised Cathy's husband, and there was a few other people like her makeup artist and a few other people. And some of the people like drag queens that were there at the show as well, having a bit of a chat. And I must have been quite passive aggressive with this drag queen, because he was saying, I can't believe nobody knows you, Cathy. And I went, everybody knows her. Everybody was there. They know who she is. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? But it's because I was a little bit tipsy. And
hang on.
like this.
Sorry, Andrew. So when you get around and you've breached security and you've hoodwinked people and you've managed to infiltrate, a drag queen is actually saying to Cathy Dennis, I can't believe nobody knows who you are? That's the conversation you overhear?
Yeah, and she's like, you're amazing. Everybody should know who you are. You're really, really good. I'm like, they do know who she is. They know all the songs she's just sung.
This poor lady.
Thousands of people there know her. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm probably not in a good position to talk to a drag queen and say that, because I'll probably get slated, which means ripped a new backside, if that makes sense to you guys. But I thought, no, I'm not having that. And I went straight in to say, I'm not having that.
And then you eventually talked to her. What was that like?
It was amazing. She was so down to earth. And I was like, Cathy, I was so embarrassing. I got my iPhone out and I said, look at all these songs I've downloaded or I've bought that are all written by you, produced by you. You sing vocals on. She's like this. Wow, you've got a lot. I says, okay, I've got pretty much everything. There's a few I don't have. I've even got Shadow by the South Korean group FX, which she produced with Sophie Ellis-Bextor. It's a Korean song, so she didn't write that, but she did the music. I said, I've even got that. She's like that. Wow, thank you so much. I said, no, thank you. You brought so much light to my life with your music. And she's like this. Oh, well, thanks very much. And I asked her if I could give her a hug, but I pretty much did, like you said earlier, I pretty much jumped on her. And I'm like, be calm, cool and collected. She was absolutely amazing, still beautiful and so down to earth. You hear so many rumours that she's a bit of a funny, how can I put it?
Eccentric.
Well, probably not
diva.
eccentric. Yeah, and she wasn't at all. She was absolutely lovely. And I'm like, look, I was so drunk, I could have totally embarrassed myself, but she was so lovely talking to me. I was like this, bowing down to her so embarrassingly. It's even on Instagram, me talking to her, and she's like this, thank you so much. I was like, no, thank you. And it was like, I should have asked you about the Unreleased album, which was a big mistake. Ian knows this. And I think the question, I know Chad's spoken about Move to This. The album in my head, which nobody has heard, is the Unreleased third album, Inspiration. That was never released. She moved on from Into the Skyline onto Am I the Kind of Girl, which was a totally different sound altogether.
I need to ask the question. So, Chad or Ian or Lee, like, honestly, inspiration. It's not often you hear of a pop artist who's got a secret album, and it sounds from what Andrew's saying, it was fully recorded, it exists, it's out there. What is this inspiration all about, and why was it not released? Why has it never seen the light of day? What are the rumours?
Do you know what? The funny thing is, you said that there's not many artists, but I think recently we've discovered that there's 3 of them. So we actually knew that Danny had an album because that did get released a couple of years ago called 95 Sessions.
True.
We then heard that Kim Wilde's got another album, same period, that wasn't released. That might get released at the end of the year. And so there's this Cathy Dennis album, which Andrew and I know about because it was mainly written with Todd Terry, and he used to have a website and he used to list the songs and productions that he's done, and he listed the album Inspiration and he listed some of the songs. But yeah, so there is this album. There are some of the songs, or at least one of the songs did make a release. I think it's SOS, isn't it, Andrew?
It is.
That
That's
appeared
right.
on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle soundtrack. And
sorry, I was just going to interject. Sorry, Ian. That's from 1991. Is Their Life After You? So around the Move to This era, but it was SOS which was the Beverly Hills 90210, the college year soundtrack. Cathy, if you're listening, please, I know you're probably not going to make any money from it, but we'd love to hear this album. We really would, because I think the world is missing it. We've got the other 3. We need this one. Please, please, please. If you can, let us hear it.
I can't believe this cattle call of musicians she's written for. You've already mentioned a few, like S Club 7, but look at this list. Celine Dion, Delta Goodrem, Rachel Stevens, Clay Aiken, we've got Will Young, Emma Bunton, Janet Jackson. She wrote for the Sugar Babes, Pink, and Melanie C. Looks like, she's...
Yeah.
All those projects that those guys did solo, she's had a little bit of a hand in. I think you said the word at the beginning, Andrew, prolific. My God, the list of songs. She never stops writing, does she? This is incredible.
She doesn't. Yeah, she wanted to make a career out of it, and she's definitely done that. So she may be behind the scenes, but she's going to be doing it for a long time.
Yeah, again, it's kind of like Sia, who has said in interviews many times that she doesn't want the fame. She just wants to be a successful songwriter. So there is an avenue for that too. And I think she's decidedly taken it. And I just want to point out that she wrote I Kissed a Girl, Katy Perry's huge hit as well, because that's one of probably her biggest success of any single she's written. A little known thing is that she collaborated with... Heidi Montag of reality TV fame, and she did I love this because it was about 10 years ago. She did an album called Superficial, and it was totally a vanity project or whatever, but the songs are actually, several of them are written by Cathy, and they're really solid writing, and it's kind of a shame that it was not given a life because of the stigma of it being attached to that personality rather than someone who was more of a legitimate established singer or whatever.
Tell me about this whole idea that she's a diva too. I like to dig into that. She's difficult to work with, apparently.
I think that when at the height of her kind of sort of popularity in the UK, I think all celebrities get a little bit, don't they? Like, don't you know who I am? But I've not had a definite kind of stories. It's just kind of like rumours. I remember her being in Smash Hits magazine, and I think they alluded to the fact that she was late and a bit stroppy with what they asked her to wear. But who hasn't been stroppy with what people have asked us to wear?
I think her career speaks for itself too. Like, you don't work with that many heavy hitters in the industry for that long by being difficult. You just don't. And I just can't imagine the story about that you were sharing about getting to meet her. That's how I would imagine her to be. Is just very warm and welcoming. From everything I've seen, of course, you never know, but I'd find it hard to believe she's this big diva.
The diva side could just come from the fact if she wasn't comfortable doing promotion, and so going to Smash Hits, then she's probably just awkward, and that probably just came across as being difficult. Where if you've got somebody else coming along that's desperate for the attention, they're probably running to Smash Hits and try on every dress and get in front of every camera possible, whereas I'm sure Cathy probably just sat back and went, I don't really need to do any of this, so I'll put one dress on and that's it. So, I guess they haven't met Lily Allen by that point, so that's probably so.
I love that. Well, look, it's been a pleasure talking about Cathy Dennis. Thank you for highlighting her talent, and I have to say, you have convinced me. Not that I was ever not convinced, I just didn't really know who she was. I thought she was some lady from the 90s who used to just try to knock Kylie off the top of the charts, which was rather annoying at the time. But I've got a newfound respect, and I will go down the Cathy Dennis rabbit hole.
We should really be calling her Dr. Dennis, because she's actually been awarded an honorary doctorate in music within the last 10 years by the University of East Anglia, which is also in Norwich, her hometown. So that is really good from her perspective. But also, back to what Lee said about Ivor Novello Awards, she's also got Outstanding Song Collection back in 2018, which is absolutely backing up what Chad spoke about earlier as well. And if you haven't seen it, watch the clip on YouTube where she's on Beverly Hills 90210. She covers the Y track Moments of Love, which was a promotional single in America, and also Touch Me, which is not the Shep Pettibone version. It was the American and Asian album version of that song, which us in the UK probably hadn't heard at that time. We had the remixed version that Shep Pettibone produced. She's my queen, and she'll be forever my favourite singer-songwriter and also producer, which she's done a hell of a lot for S Club 7. It's not S Club 7, it's S Club 7 and Cathy Dennis as well. Pretty much, Cathy touches it, it's magic.
I love it, and I love how dedicated you are to her. That's what she needs. She needs her army of people around her. The challenge for you, and I hope that Ian and Andrew, I hope you come back for more podcasts. The next time you are on a podcast, I'm going to ask you to come up with a name for Cathy Dennis fans. There has to be one, by the sound of it. She is worthy of a name. Thanks, everybody.
No worries. Thank you very much for letting us join.
You did a great job.